Hi, everybody. Neil from Toronto Condos. Thank you for joining us today on the Toronto Condos video podcast. I'm very excited to have a friend and returning guest to the podcast, Mitch Parker. Today, we're going to be talking about a new pre-construction launch that's happening, and Mitch has the insider access to it. So let's get started. Mitch, maybe tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, Neil, thank you so much for having me. I'm always excited to come in and film videos with you. This specific development that we are working on is called Rise at Lakeshore, and it's located in Port Credit, which for those of you who already know how amazing of a neighborhood it is. And if you don't, RE/MAX Canada actually just ranked it as the top neighborhood in Canada to live in. So we're really excited about this. The neighborhood's amazing. The actual product itself is amazing. Like doing this kind of video and just promoting it, we're excited about it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mitch. So we're going to get right into it because, people are going to have questions regarding the new condo launches. They always do with different condo launches. So Let's just get right into the questions. So why is everyone talking about Rise at Lakeshore? What's so special about it?
For sure. So, it's a great question. And I think it's a few different things they're talking about. So one, it's the desirability of the neighborhood. The neighborhood itself is, it's a waterfront community. The transit is absolutely amazing. Easy access to the highways, the restaurants, the amenities in the neighborhood. And then the building itself is comprised of both a boutique condo building, and then there's townhouses as well. So it really caters to a lot of different people, no matter what you're looking for. And when you're looking at the actual building, the finishes are amongst the best that I've seen in the industry.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Nice finishes is always a great feature for anyone that, whether they're moving in or renting out. So good to know. So on that topic, finishes, a relevant question becomes, from consumers and purchasers, who is the builder? Who is the builder behind Rise? And maybe tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. So the builder is called Kingsman Group. They've been developing for over 40 years. They specialize in mid-rise and townhome construction. And this is what they do. They've done projects all over the place. They've done a lot of townhouses in Vaughan and Woodstock. They've done some stuff in Toronto. So these are guys who have been around a long, long time, and they have the experience to get from the start to the finish, which, as we see in this market, is so vital to getting a product that the customer is happy with.
Absolutely. Great point. So you touched on briefly, but if you can, let's go into detail with this next question because,
Sure.
Viewers and people listening are going to want to know. Can you tell us about the project itself? Tell us about the buildings. You mentioned there's townhomes, a condo building portion. So maybe describe that for us.
For sure. So the actual site itself is situated on a ravine. So part of the building, if you're on the back side, so the north-facing views of the building will actually be facing a ravine, which is very rare to find. If you're above the sixth floor and above, you're going to get views of Lake Ontario. You can have views of the city. So the actual layout and the views of the building is absolutely amazing. When you talk about the finishes themselves, right? So when you actually get into a suite, you're getting a lot of things that would normally be an upgrade. And as you know, and as your clients know from going through this process so many times, it's super easy to walk into the design center and add like $10,000 to your bill, right? So with this development, it's engineered hardwood floor. That's standard. There's porcelain tile on the floor and on the wall. It's quartz countertop in the kitchen. That's sort of the level of finishes that comes standard here. The other really interesting thing is that normally, and you can attest to this, normally when you buy a condo, it's like finished package A, finished package B, or finished package C, right? Light, medium, dark. With this, although they've brought designers together to show what you can do, you're actually able to piece like an infinite number of things together to create your ultimate customized condo or townhouse for you, which is really exciting. The other thing that I didn't mention about the site is that a third of it has actually been set aside for green space. So, there's a lot of parks, there's a lot of gardens, there's a lot of trees. So, if you're walking out of your townhouse or you're looking out your condo balcony, it's not like you're staring at a concrete jungle. It's a very, very livable community and site.
Yeah, and that's cool to know, especially like you mentioned with the green space. People want livability. They want to be able to kind of go outside of their home,
Right.
experience the outdoors and not be too cooped up. So good to know. So port credit. Some people know about port credit. Not everybody does. The focus sometimes is on Toronto with pre-construction. So why should somebody buy in port credit?
Sure. So, it's funny because before I started really doing my research on port credit and on this area, I was always under the impression that like port credit was far, right? And so I live downtown Toronto, and it actually takes me 15 minutes door to door to get from downtown Toronto to the actual where the site's going to be. So, if you're looking at convenience factor, there's got to be, you have to look at port credit. Some of the other things that make it so great is it's a community of multi-million dollar homes. It's one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the GTA. And so the quality and the product that we're bringing to the market fits well within that. But what's even really cool is that, you're seeing downtown prices at $1,300 a foot, $1,400 a foot. I was just talking to an agent who their client got into a unit for $1,600 a foot. And so that's getting like very, very expensive. When you look at our price per square foot, townhouses start at $650 a foot. Condos start at $720 a foot. So the actual value that you're getting is unbelievable compared to like a downtown Toronto, but you're really only like 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah, no, great point. And like you said, the proximity for credit kind of, along the Lakeshore line, you get into Toronto very quickly. And an excellent point. Unless somebody, knows that area, they may not realize how quickly you can access downtown Toronto. So great point.
Right. And it's like for those people that want to be close to downtown Toronto, it's great because of the proximity. But if you don't want to leave port credit, you still do have everything that you would need there, right? There's still all sorts of like restaurants and bars and stores and shops, and you have the waterfront there, and there's a Starbucks there, and it really is a self-contained community in amongst itself.
Yeah, great point. Which kind of leads us naturally into our, the next question we have for you is, you've mentioned port credit, you've described it. Sounds like a beautiful, area for those people that didn't know about it. So who would be buying in the building, and like what does the demographic look like of the person that would be buying?
Yeah, so a lot of our buildings, like you never know until the buyers actually come through the door, right? Whether they're going to be investors, whether they're going to be end users. What I could say is, somebody who purchases here is going to have, I'm thinking of the right word here, but they're going to be able to appreciate having the nice high-end finishes and being in amongst the really nice high-end neighborhood, right? So if you're an investor, the quality of the tenant that you're going to get is going to be much higher than a lot of other areas in the GTA. And then if you're an end user, I think we're going to get a combination of people who may not want to live directly in the city, but still live really close to it. And then also people who might be downsizing from a bigger house, who want the conveniences of being in port credit, but a little less maintenance, whether they go into a townhouse or whether they pick up a condo unit for themselves.
Yeah, great point. And you kind of touched on the next question. You kind of already answered this, but for those that maybe are investors, what does the rental market look like in port credit? Is there a rental market, and do you see a mix of investors and end users? Maybe just touch on the rental market really in for
Yeah,
credit.
and that's a great question, and it's an important question too. So, uh, in amongst my research, what I learned was that there was a study that was done, and they basically took all the major markets across Canada, and they ranked them on the most expensive rents. And so, Mississauga, as an overall community and city, was actually the eighth most expensive city to rent in Canada. And if you dive deeper into that, what you'll see is Port Credit consistently ranks in the top 3 neighborhoods in Mississauga. So you're looking at the upper end of Mississauga itself. And the other thing that we have to touch on is prices for rentals have been going crazy in Mississauga. You have this like really strong demand to be there, and you have a limited supply as well. So, um, the report that I was reading, it tracks month over month over month of what's happening in the rental market. And so the 1-bedroom suites, month over month, were single-handedly up 4.1%. The 2 bedrooms were actually 6.9%. And this all has to do with a very tight supply and an increasing demand of people who are realizing, like, there is awesome neighborhoods outside of downtown Toronto. And I'm a big believer that I still think rents are undervalued, especially when you start to leave the city of Toronto. And so looking at a neighborhood like Port Credit, where on the purchasing side of it, as an investor, I think you're buying a really good value where there's room to appreciate. But then also at the same time, you put a tenant in there, and I think rents are going to remain strong for the foreseeable future, which, those two things are exactly what you're looking for as an investor.
Yeah, all great points, Mitch. You touched on so much there, from the cost per square foot, it being a lower option versus if you get more central to downtown Toronto, people, end users, investors, they want to see value when they buy, and buying at a lower cost per square foot in a great area is a no-brainer in my opinion. And, that's
Yeah.
not a
And
competition.
to mention one thing, and I know everybody kind of talks about this, and some people are tired of hearing about this, but it's the Manhattanization concept of Toronto, right? Whereas like a number of years ago, people would have never wanted to be in Brooklyn or some of the other neighborhoods around there. And if you look what has happened with prices and with the demand, it's like even hard to get into Brooklyn now, right? Because prices have gone so crazy. And so we're talking about a neighborhood which literally is 15 minutes from downtown Toronto that's selling at half the price. So, if we use the New Yorks, we use the other cities as an example, it's just a trend that's going to continue upwards in terms of prices and rents.
Yeah, great point. And you've touched on this quite a bit. Your answers have been quite detailed. So, maybe when you answer this one, maybe give us like 1 or 2 points or 3 points, or answer it however you like. But when people look at Rise at Lakeshore, and they look at other projects, why should they choose Rise over other projects?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and I think a lot of the viewers are going to want to hear that exact thing. So, one, you're getting a developer that has a track record and a great reputation for, first of all, starting and completing buildings, which, as we know, is very important. But then B, it's the quality of the building that they're putting together as well. I think the other thing, and again, we keep touching on this, but it's like the price per square foot that we're coming out at, and that your purchasers are able to get. There's tremendous value in that. The other is the location of where the site and where the development is. Really, if you're a driver, you have Lakeshore, you have the QEW right at your doorstep. You have a few of the north-south Ontario Cawthra streets there. But then if you're not a driver, there's the Mimico GO station, there's the Port Credit GO station. So you're kind of in the middle of everything that you need. And then the other reason to buy, and when you bring your clients into the sales center to preview it, the actual quality of the material of the finishes, like this is a building where you're going to be proud to bring guests over to, or you're going to be proud to walk a tenant through, right? So to give you an example, like the lobby, there's a gorgeous fireplace, shiplap wall built in there. The common area has a party room and a lounge with a double-sided fireplace. It has a beautiful open air ground floor terrace. There's a gym. There's Wi-Fi, by the way, in all the common areas, so you're connected via that way. There's an awesome deal for purchasers for fiber optic connected Wi-Fi in their specific unit. And so I think that it ties into the lifestyle of what you're able to accomplish, or the lifestyle that you're able to offer a tenant who potentially is going to look at this building and they're going to look at a few other buildings in the neighborhood. I think that this one they'll come back to and say, I really picture calling this place home.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the next natural question, for people that have heard this, people that are interested, whether they're looking to buy to live in, buy to rent out, buy for the kid.
Yeah.
How do you get a unit? What do they do? Do they come talk to you? Like, what do they do?
Oh, so you mean to actually to reserve a unit and to purchase a unit, basically? Yeah. So as you know, and as some of the people who purchased previously with the buildings that are hot and that they're in demand, one of the things is they sell out incredibly fast. We've seen it over and over and over again. And so we have relationships with great agents like yourself who receive priority and platinum access to the development. And what that means for anybody who's watching, the average agent and the average, a purchaser without an agent, we don't sell to those people yet, right? The first thing that we do is we go and to our agents that we have a relationship with, and they are the ones that get the access at the opening prices, and you get access to the inventory. So your choice of suite is going to be much more available. And then you're getting the actual lowest prices. The other thing that I can say we're offering is we're doing an opening incentive of parking for only $10,000, right? Normally it's $30,000, but for our special agents like yourself, that parking is going to be $10,000. And so just in amongst that statistic alone, at a certain point, your clients who purchase are going to make $20,000 only off parking. And then you add increases to prices of the units that you end up doing really well. But the number one thing that I would say to them is just to contact you. I mean, an agent who has the relationship and an agent who's going to be honest and truthful and transparent about the whole process, I think that's worth their weight in gold. And that's why we work with you, right? And we work with agents like yourself.
Thanks, Mitch. No, I appreciate those kind words, and you so much in that last that last statement you made, especially with regards to early access. Time and time again, we've seen with our purchasers, our clients, getting them in early is key, because literally in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we've seen a variety of different ranges. The units have then gone up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000.
Right.
And it's just amazing and great for them to have that first access, because you're making equity.
And it's first access, and it's great as a purchaser to be able to buy at the opening price and then kind of watch your unit get more expensive. But even more important than that is to even possibly be able to buy a unit, right? Which is it's crazy to say, but in some of these hot developments, if you're not an insider, you're just not going to get a suite, right? And so while it's great to watch your prices go up, if you can't get a unit in the first place, sort of the whole thing thrown off. So, reaching out to a guy like you who has the access is so important.
Fantastic, Mitch. And we're not going to take up too much more of your time. You've answered our questions here. So thank you so much again. We're looking forward to seeing you soon, seeing the team soon, and bringing in some interested purchasers who will be excited to buy at Rise at Lakeshore.
For sure. Thanks. No, I appreciate doing this.
Okay, thanks, Mitch. We'll talk again soon.
For sure. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.